My uncle caused my mother's 3 miscarriages on purpose because the babies were girls. So I caught his confession on tape and exposed his 30-year operation. Now he's paralyzed in prison and his supporters are begging me to drop the remaining charges. My uncle caused my mother's 3 miscarriages on purpose because the babies were girls. So I caught his confession on tape and exposed his 30-year operation. Now he's paralyzed in prison and his supporters are begging me to drop the remaining charges. My heart dropped. She pushed past me into my apartment, her hands trembling as she clutched a worn leather folder against her chest. I watched her pace across my living room, her usually composed face etched with lines of worry I'd never seen before. "Mom, what are you talking about?" I shut the door and followed her to the couch. She sat down heavily, placing the folder on the coffee table between us. Her fingers traced its edges before she finally opened it, revealing yellowed medical documents, handwritten notes in Chinese, and photographs spanning decades. "I've been documenting everything for 23 years, she whispered, pulling out a faded ultrasound image. "This was my first pregnancy, a girl. Uncle Dev gave me his blessing at 7 weeks. My stomach churned as she laid out more ultrasounds, each labeled with dates and outcomes. 3 miscarriages before I was born, all after Uncle Dev's blessings. I started suspecting after the second loss, but who would believe me? He was already controlling the family business, sponsoring relatives from overseas. She pulled out immigration documents, each bearing Uncle Dev's signature as financial sponsor. 12 family members still depend on him for their legal status. If we expose him, they lose everything. I grabbed the papers, scanning through sponsorship forms, affidavits of support, and renewal applications, names I recognized, cousins, aunts, distant relatives who'd arrived over the past 2 decades, all tied to Uncle Dev's continued cooperation. "He knows you have the video," Mom continued, her voice barely audible. "He called me this morning, said he noticed the camera had been moved during cleanup. He's already making plans." My phone buzzed. A notification popped up. My cloud storage account required password verification. I typed it in, but the screen flashed red. "Account locked for suspicious activity." No. I grabbed my laptop trying to access the backup through my computer. Same result. The video was gone. Mom wasn't surprised. "Your cousin Catherine works at the phone company. She's been helping him monitor our communications for years. That's how he always knows which women are pregnant before they announce it." I slammed the laptop shut, my mind racing. Without the video, I had nothing but accusations. Mom's documentation was compelling, but decades old. Who would believe us over the respected family patriarch? "There's more," Mom said, pulling out a business card. "He doesn't just do this to our family. He's been running gender selection services through the import business, charging immigrant families thousands for his traditional methods." The card advertised cultural wellness consultations with Uncle Dev's import company address. On the back, handwritten appointment times and what looked like client codes. My phone rang. Uncle Dev's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, but he called again immediately. "Answer it," Mom urged. "Don't let him know I'm here." I picked up on the third ring. "Uncle Dev, my dear niece, we need to talk about your concerning behavior last night." His voice was calm, controlled. "The family is worried about you. These wild accusations, the hidden cameras, it's not like you." "I know what you're doing," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. "What I'm doing is calling an emergency family meeting for tonight, 7 o'clock. We need to address your mental health before you hurt yourself or others." The line went dead. Mom's face had gone pale. "He's going to discredit you before you can expose him. This is what he does. Turns the family against anyone who threatens him." We spent the next hour going through her documentation, photographing everything with my phone since my cloud storage was compromised. She showed me correspondence between Uncle Dev and other traditional medicine practitioners, coded discussions about maintaining cultural values and blessing techniques. "He trained others," she explained, pointing to a list of names. "Built a whole network across 3 states. They meet at a traditional medicine clinic downtown twice a week." My younger brother Harry texted me, "Emergency family meeting tonight. Uncle Deb says you're having a breakdown. What's going on?" I called him immediately. Harry, I need to see you. Not at home. Meet me at the coffee shop on 5th Street. Sis, everyone's freaking out. Uncle Dev showed Dad some medical documents. Just meet me, please. An hour later, Harry slid into the booth across from me, his expression guarded. At 19, he was the only male cousin in our generation, which had always made him Uncle Dev's favorite. Start from the beginning, he said. I told him everything. The pressure points, the pattern of miscarriages, the video that had mysteriously disappeared. His face grew more troubled with each detail. I've been noticing things too, he admitted finally. Uncle Dev goes to that clinic downtown every Tuesday and Thursday. I followed him once, thought he was seeing someone about his back pain, but he was teaching a class. All men, all taking notes while he demonstrated on mannequins. You followed him? Harry pulled out his phone, showing me photos taken from outside the clinic window. Uncle Dev at a whiteboard, drawing anatomical diagrams, men in the audience, some in traditional dress, others in business suits. I've been tracking his schedule for months. He's got regular clients at the import business too. Always women coming in looking hopeful, leaving in tears weeks later. We need those client records, I said. Breaking into his office would be crazy. Harry shook his head. Besides, the family meeting is in 3 hours. Whatever he's planning, he's going to claim I'm mentally unstable. Mom says he's already got documents. Harry's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his face went white. Check the family group chat. I opened the message thread. Uncle Dev had shared what looked like official medical documents. Hospital admission forms with my name, dated last month. Psychiatric evaluation noting delusional thinking and paranoid ideation. Treatment recommendations for immediate intervention. These are fake, I said, zooming in on the documents. I've never been to this hospital. Doesn't matter. Look at the replies. The family was already rallying around Uncle Dev. Aunts expressing concern about my mental health, cousins offering to help with my treatment. Even my father had responded, thanking Uncle Dev for bringing this to light. The doctor who signed these, Dr. Jonathan Gomez. He's Uncle Dev's golf buddy. Same country club as our family therapist. Harry pulled up the doctor's profile on his phone. They've been friends for 15 years. The walls were closing in. In 3 hours, I'd walk into a room full of family members already convinced I was delusional. Uncle Dev had laid the groundwork perfectly. We need those client records, I repeated. It's the only way to prove this is bigger than just family. Harry was quiet for a long moment, then, I have keys to the import business. Uncle Dev gave them to me last year when he started grooming me to take over someday. You'd risk that? I've watched him destroy our female cousin's dreams for years. Always thought it was just bad luck. His jaw tightened. If what you're saying is true, I can't be part of this anymore. We drove to the import business as the sun set, the building dark except for security lights. Harry's hands shook as he unlocked the back entrance. His office is upstairs, he whispered. We crept through the warehouse, past shelves of imported goods. The stairs creaked under our weight. At the top, Harry unlocked Uncle Dev's office door. The space was meticulously organized. Traditional medicine certificates on the walls, photos of Uncle Dev with various community leaders, a locked filing cabinet in the corner. Check his desk, Harry said, working on the filing cabinet lock with a paperclip. I rifled through drawers, finding import invoices, shipping manifests, nothing useful. Then in the bottom drawer, a leather journal. I opened it to find handwritten notes in Uncle Dev's precise script. Patient codes, dates, pressure point sequences, success rates, payment records. My hands trembled as I photographed page after page. Got it, Harry whispered, the filing cabinet clicking open. Inside were folders labeled with codes matching the journal entries. Each contained medical histories, ultrasound images, and payment receipts. Services rendered for cultural consultation ranging from $2,000 to $5,000. There must be over 100 files here, Harry breathed. We photographed everything we could, the camera flash illuminating desperate stories, women who'd traveled from neighboring states, multiple sessions for those whose first treatment hadn't achieved the desired result. A door slammed downstairs. We froze. Footsteps echoed through the warehouse heading for the stairs. Back exit, Harry hissed, but we could already hear someone climbing. The office door opened. Uncle Deb stood silhouetted against the hallway light, still in his golf attire. I had a feeling, he said calmly, stepping inside and closing the door behind him. Harry, I'm disappointed. I was grooming you to carry on our traditions. Traditions? I stood, clutching the journal. You mean systematically aborting female fetuses? I prefer to think of it as helping families achieve their cultural preferences. He moved closer, his eyes fixed on the journal. That's private property. It's evidence of your crimes. Crimes? Uncle Dev laughed softly. I provide a service immigrant families can't access through Western medicine. They come to me voluntarily, seeking traditional wisdom. You're exploiting vulnerable women, Harry said, stepping between us. I'm preserving our culture. In China, families have gender preferences. Here, they're denied that choice. I simply offer an alternative. His voice hardened. Now give me the journal. I backed toward the window. The family meeting starts in an hour. We'll show them everything. Show them what? Photos you took while breaking into my office? After I've already documented your mental instability? He pulled out his phone. Dr. Gomez is prepared to testify that you attacked me during a delusional episode. The security footage will support that story. What security footage? He gestured to a corner camera I hadn't noticed. The one recording us right now. Of course, it will show you and Harry breaking in, me trying to calm you down, and then tragically, you attacking me in your disturbed state. He lunged forward. I'd studied the pressure points for defense, but Uncle Dev had decades of experience. His fingers found my wrist pressing hard on PC6. Pain shot up my arm, my grip loosening on the journal. Harry grabbed Uncle Dev from behind, but the older man twisted expertly, his elbow catching Harry in the solar plexus. As Harry doubled over, Uncle Dev's fingers found pressure points on his neck. Harry crumpled to the floor. I didn't want it to come to this, Uncle Dev said, advancing on me again. You could have stayed quiet like your mother. I feinted left, then dove right, my training kicking in. My fingers found Li4 on his hand, pressing hard. He grunted in pain, giving me enough time to grab Harry and pull him toward the door. But Uncle Dev recovered quickly, blocking our exit. You think a few months of study makes you my equal? I've been perfecting these techniques for 30 years. He came at me again, movements fluid and precise. I managed to block his first strike, but the second found BL60 on my ankle. My leg went numb, and I stumbled. The family meeting starts soon, he said, standing over me. You'll both need medical attention after your psychotic break. Don't worry. Dr. Gomez will ensure you get the help you need. Harry stirred beside me, groaning. I saw Uncle Dev reaching for his phone, probably to call his doctor friend. In that moment of distraction, I rolled forward, grabbing a heavy glass paperweight from his desk. You're going to attack me with that? Perfect. More evidence of your violent delusions. But I didn't swing at him. Instead, I threw it through the window. Glass shattered, triggering the building's alarm system. Red lights flashed. Sirens wailed. Uncle Dev's composed mask finally slipped. You stupid girl. The police will arrest you for breaking and entering. Good, I gasped, pulling myself up. Let them come. Let them find your journal, your client files, everything. He lunged for the filing cabinet, trying to grab the incriminating documents. Harry, recovering, tackled him from behind. They crashed into the desk, scattering papers. The police will be here in minutes, I said, photographing the chaos. What will you tell them? That we broke in to steal import records? Or will you explain why you have detailed medical files on gender selection services? Uncle Deb's face cycled through emotions. Rage, calculation, fear. He could hear the sirens growing closer. You don't understand what you're destroying, he said finally. These families need me. Their cultures, their traditions, their daughters need to live. I shot back. The police arrived as we faced off in the destroyed office. Uncle Dev immediately shifted into concerned elder mode, explaining how his mentally unstable niece had broken in with her brother. But the officers were more interested in the scattered medical files and the journal still clutched in my hand. "Sir, we're going to need you to explain these documents," one officer said, holding up a file clearly showing ultrasound images and payment records. The family meeting never happened. Instead, we spent hours at the police station giving statements. Mom arrived with her decades of documentation. Other family members trickled in, confused and divided. The investigation would take months, but that night cracked Uncle Deb's carefully constructed facade. Word spread through the immigrant community. Women came forward with their own stories. The traditional medicine clinic distanced themselves. His network of practitioners scattered. Harry and I sat in the police station lobby at 3 a.m, exhausted but vindicated. "Think the family will ever forgive us?" he asked. I thought about our cousins who'd lost daughters, our aunts who'd suffered in silence, all the women whose voices had been suppressed by tradition and fear. The real question is whether they'll forgive themselves for not seeing it sooner. Mom emerged from giving her statement, looking older but somehow lighter. She'd carried this burden for over 2 decades. Now, finally, the truth was in the open. Uncle Deb's empire was built on controlling women's bodies and exploiting cultural expectations. But armed with knowledge of pressure points meant to harm, I'd found the exact spot to apply pressure to bring it all crashing down. The family would fracture. Some would support Uncle Deb to the end, unable to accept that their revered patriarch was a predator. Others would grapple with guilt over the signs they'd missed. But for the first time in generations, the women in our family would have a chance to carry their daughters to term. All because I'd learned pressure points to help a friend with vertigo and recognize them being used as weapons against my own family. The next morning brought no relief. I woke to 37 missed calls and a voicemail from Dad that made my blood run cold. His voice shook with barely controlled fury as he demanded I come home immediately to discuss my disturbing behavior and the damage I'd caused to our family's reputation. Harry had crashed on my couch after the police station ordeal. He stirred when my phone rang again, this time an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "You've made a terrible mistake." Uncle Deb's voice was eerily calm. "The police released me within hours. No charges filed, just a misunderstanding between family members." My stomach dropped. "That's impossible. We showed them everything. You showed them private business documents obtained through breaking and entering. My lawyer made quick work of that." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "But don't worry, dear niece. I'm not pressing charges against you and Harry. Family protects family after all." The line went dead. Harry sat up reading my expression. "He's out. No charges filed." I sank onto the couch beside him. "He's got better lawyers than we thought." Mom arrived an hour later with devastating news. 3 of our sponsored relatives had already received notices that their paperwork was under review. Uncle Dev wasn't just threatening anymore. He was systematically dismantling the lives of anyone who might support us. Aunt May called crying, Mom said, her hands trembling around her teacup. Her work permit expires next month. Without Uncle Dev's sponsorship renewal, she'll have to leave the country. Her daughter just started college here. "He can't do that," Harry protested. "There must be legal protections." "He's not technically doing anything illegal," Mom explained. "He's simply choosing not to renew sponsorships. It's his right as the financial sponsor. The timing is just coincidental." My phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Sarah. "Thanks a lot. My mom just lost her job at the import company. Hope you're happy." Then another from a relative I barely knew. "Uncle Dev has always taken care of this family. How dare you spread lies about him?" The family group chat had exploded overnight. Uncle Dev had posted a lengthy message about forgiveness, mental health awareness, and the importance of supporting family members through their struggles. He never mentioned me by name, but the implication was clear. I was the troubled relative who needed help, not him. "We need to talk to the women who've been his clients," I said. "If we can get them to come forward, with what incentive?" Mom shook her head. "These are immigrant women who paid thousands for illegal gender selection. They won't risk deportation or criminal charges to help us." She was right. Every avenue we explored led to another dead end. The traditional medicine clinic claimed no knowledge of Uncle Dev's activities. The other practitioners in his network had vanished like smoke. Even the police seemed uninterested in pursuing the case without complainants willing to testify. That afternoon, Dr. Jonathan Gomez called me personally. "I'm concerned about you," he said in a voice dripping with false sympathy. "Your uncle mentioned you've been under tremendous stress. I'd like to schedule an evaluation." I hung up on him. Harry had been quiet all morning, hunched over his laptop. Finally, he looked up. "I've been going through the photos we took of his journal. There's something weird about these client codes." He showed me his screen where he'd organized the codes by date. "Look at the pattern. Every seventh client has an asterisk next to their code, and those are the only ones with multiple sessions recorded. Failed treatments, I guessed, or something else." He pulled up a map of the city. I cross-referenced the asterisk codes with the partial addresses in his files. They're all from the same neighborhood, the one where that traditional medicine clinic is located. My pulse quickened. "You think he's recruiting through the clinic? It would make sense. Establish trust through legitimate treatments, identify vulnerable pregnant women, then offer special services." Harry's fingers flew over the keyboard. "If we could find even one of these women willing to talk, we'd need to be careful," Mom warned. "Uncle Dev has eyes everywhere in that community." The doorbell rang, making us all jump. Through the peephole, I saw 2 police officers. My heart sank. Had Uncle Dev filed charges after all? But when I opened the door, the female officer's expression was surprisingly sympathetic. "We're following up on last night's incident. May we come in?" They sat in my living room, reviewing their notes. The male officer seemed skeptical, but his partner leaned forward with interest as I explained the pattern of miscarriages in RTM. "The problem is," she said finally, "without victims willing to come forward, we can't pursue this as a criminal matter. The documents you photographed suggest suspicious activity, but they're not proof of assault or medical malpractice." "What about practicing medicine without a license?" Harry asked. "Traditional medicine occupies a gray area legally, unless he's presenting himself as a medical doctor or prescribing controlled substances." She shrugged apologetically. After they left, we sat in defeated silence. Uncle Dev had built his empire carefully, operating just outside the reach of law enforcement. Every path to justice seemed blocked by legal technicalities or family loyalty. That evening, the emergency family meeting finally convened without us. Harry and I weren't invited, but my cousin Amy secretly live-streamed it from her phone. We watched Uncle Dev hold court in his living room, surrounded by sympathetic relatives. "My heart breaks for her," he said, managing to look genuinely pained. "Mental illness can strike anyone. The delusions, the paranoia, it's textbook, really." Dr.